So, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to Creative Media Production Online Learning. We are going to focus on component one, which is basically exploring media products. What we're going to learn is we're going to develop your knowledge and understanding of the way that media products are created, as well as the codes and conventions, so the things that are always there, and how they are used to communicate and create meaning for audiences. Essentially how audiences also engage with them and make and give them purpose. So this is going to be focused on two learning aims, right? Learning aim A, which will be based on how you analyse products from past and present across three different sectors: audio, moving image, radio, TV, etc. Publishing, magazines, books, comics, film posters, adverts, and interactive media, which is websites. And we're going to understand how audiences engage with these, and we're also going to look at how different examples of media products work in order to understand how audiences are targeted and what the purpose of the product is. And then learning aim B, we'll be focusing on the film industry specifically, and we'll look at the production process. Every product has its own different process, but they still follow a similar sort of format, really, or way of doing things. And so we'll look at that and how it's created, looking at how films, for example, target more global audiences, how they change film posters to appeal to, say, Japan compared to Western countries like the UK. And then we'll deconstruct the products that we're looking at to identify how different techniques and effects are creating audience appeal. And what you'll do in terms of assessment, you'll be creating a blog or a vlog, a presentation or a written report into evidence all of this, that will be marked and go towards your final qualification. So just to start off, I want you to make a mind map of all the different products that you consume on a daily basis. All right, this can be anything from the websites that you use to film trailers, to films that you watch, TV programs, etc. Think about what you use on a daily basis is probably the best way to think about this. How many different products do you have? I'm sure your parents do a lot of different ones, but just mind map as many different products as you can think of, making sure that you know what the names of them are. All right, I'm going to give you 5 minutes to do that, and then we will move on to looking at different categories or sectors of media products. So what is a media product? Okay, so you've just listed loads. They're divided into three different sectors. Firstly, audio visuals. This covers pretty much anything that you listen or watch. So you can think about anything on radio, for example. You can think anything that you watch on television, and indeed when you go and watch films at the cinema. All of those areas would be covered under audio visual sectors. Then there'd be publishing. All right, now this has changed because of the internet, but traditionally we can still look at the basis. So magazines are published, film posters, adverts, obviously newspapers, and there are books. This isn't a comprehensive list, but it just generally gives you an idea about what the publishing sector produce. And then there's the interactive. All right, this covers anything that audiences can interact with generally. So you can think of social media and websites, podcasts such as Electioncast on the BBC, and games, for example. Right, all of these sectors have different products that are associated with them. So now that you understand the products, what I want you to do is categorize them into the different sectors. So go back to your mind map, right? Look at the examples of the media products that you listed and try and categorize them into those three different sectors: audiovisual, publishing, and interactive. So you're probably finding it quite hard to categorise different products into different sectors. The reason that you're finding it difficult is because when the internet came along, most products started to utilise the internet. So film trailers would be put online on places and platforms like YouTube, and this is down to something called digital convergence. As technology grows and we have different types of technologies, these converge into sort of one form. So if we look at books, for example, all right, books eventually were replaced by as technology developed into things like the Kindle. All right, some of your parents may have these. I very much doubt that you do. But it was sort of a bridge between people going from books to Kindle. My sister, for example, buys a lot of her books on Kindle because she's quite self-conscious about the environment, etc. But then the books that she really likes, she buys in hard copy. So moving on, the Kindle then would have been replaced by your laptop, smartphone, and your handheld device, or any handheld device, but generally a tablet, smartphone, or laptop. And so what's happened is that Kindle was developed by Amazon, but Amazon now have Audible, which means that people can listen to books. So they're recorded either by the writer or an actor like Stephen Fry, and also, instead of having to buy the Kindle, which you can only download books on, you can now get an app that is downloaded to your phone, smart device, or your tablet, which means that you can read those books generally. So when we think about categorizing media products, we have to think about the interactive media that it's based on. So if we look at Audible or we look at Kindle, they are essentially books. So we would put them into the publishing sector. However, if things change, or when things change, and things have changed, if we look at a film trailer, for example, a film trailer would have traditionally been shown before a movie or on television. However, now the product is put on YouTube. So it's still an audio-visual form and still applies to fall into that sector. However, it is utilising an interactive platform. So that's just where we're getting a little bit confused on different things. And what you have to understand is that there's a difference between a product, where that product fits within a sector, and now how digital convergence is affecting different products and how they've developed. And we will go into that more in future lessons. So the main task for the first lesson is to start to create a media consumption diary. So you've got to think about what you consume and at what times of the day you consume that media. So for the day, you can look into your early morning, the middle of the day, afternoon, early evening, late evening, right? So when you start to look at your media consumption, it would be a good idea to start noting down in the duration column how many minutes you're actually spending on it. Then you want to move on and try and document what you're doing at that point in time. So an EastEnders episode, I've used the example, will last approximately 60 minutes. No, doesn't it last 30 minutes? Probably longer now with things that are going on, but you'd write down what time and what type of genre it is. So the fact that it would be EastEnders would mean it's a soap opera, and then you record what sector that is: audiovisual, publishing, or interactive. Right, so you just give a little tick, and then you will think about what you've used to access that product. All right, so if you've watched it on your tablet, then you would put tablet. If you have watched it in front of the TV, then you put TV. All right, and you also want to think about the context of what you're doing. So are you with other people while you're doing it? Are you watching it alone? Are you with friends? And more importantly, whoever you are interviewing, obviously it's starting with yourself, make sure you put your age, your gender, and your ethnicity down. That will come in really, really handy for future lessons. As a bit of an extension, do the same with your parents. They are different ages, obviously, they are different genders, and they may be different ethnicities. So they will have a different media consumption. And if you get the chance to extend it further by, if you have brothers and sisters, then complete this for them too. All right. So generally, what I'm asking you to do, record your media consumption for one day, and then ask other people within your family what their consumption is of that day too. So, learning from this lesson, we should be able to understand what media products are, and that they are categorized into 3 different sectors: audiovisual, publishing, and interactive. So we should also have an understanding of digital convergence. If there is any questions, then make sure that you comment on Teams, you comment on the video, and you can send me an email.